Welcome to the Chris Hatcher Show, presented by Alabama 811. I'm your host, Kevin Blackwell, and of course, I'm joined by Samford head football coach, Chris Hatcher. The Samford Bulldogs find themselves back in the Stats Perform FCS Top 25 this week after an upset of the number 8 Kennesaw State Owls this past Thursday night in Stewart Stadium, 27-17. Coach, I thought the team showed a lot of resilience, a lot of discipline, a lot of toughness against Kennesaw State. Made big plays when they needed to.
I agree with you, Kevin. I was really pleased with the way our guys just kept playing the next play. You know, we found ourselves a couple times there where, especially at the beginning of the third quarter, where Kennesaw had overcome the deficit and taken the lead, and then we just kept playing and we made the plays at opportune times throughout the course of the ball game. So. Again, we're excited about the win. Anytime you win, and you put a lot of work into it, especially the opener, and the fashion that we won is very exciting for our players. And hopefully we'll continue to get better and build off the big victory over Kennesaw State.
The offense was efficient for most of the evening, amassing over 400 total yards. Quarterback Michael Hires was named SoCon Offensive Player of the Week, completing 18 of 24 passes for 289 yards and 4 touchdowns. Coach, it's hard to imagine a better start to a Samford career for Michael Hires. Talk about his debut as signal caller.
Well, he's been very solid and efficient throughout spring ball and camp, and we mentioned that on the first show. He has a great grasp of the offense. Has a veteran offensive line with a lot of returners from last season that are very seasoned in front of him, and then some really good receivers, and of course having Jay Stanton, who had a really good game as well, makes the quarterback's life a lot easier. But he was efficient. He threw some really good plays, made some good decisions on some of our RPO calls that we had, and I couldn't be happier for him. He's such a good guy. He's a really smart quarterback and a local guy, so there's a lot of people around here cheering for him as well.
Particularly the Briarwood School.
No question about it.
It was a big night also for wide receivers Kendall Watson and Chandler Smith. Watson caught 9 passes for a career-best 187 yards, 2 scores, while Chandler Smith scored 2 touchdowns for 67 yards on 3 receptions. Coach, with the loss of some key specialists on offense, we needed some receivers to step up and play well. I thought Kendall and Chandler made big plays, got separation from the defensive backs, they ran good, clear, crisp routes as well.
They did, and both of those guys played very unselfishly throughout the course of the game. I thought that those two, along with all the other receivers, blocked extremely well. And of course, Kendall, he broke out the gates early, had a bunch of catches. The ball was going his way. He was the hot guy. At halftime, we talked about Chandler not having any catches, and he's a big-time playmaker for us. And so he only had a couple, but he made those count. And our other receivers, DJ, Ty King, Tran Reno, Judd Cockett, all of them are good players. The ball just didn't go their way, but they were very unselfish, played extremely hard. And again, you talked about efficiency early. That was a word we used a lot during the week because of the type of offense Kennesaw ran. We didn't run very many plays. And then, we had to get into a little bit of running game, especially there at the end in our bigger sets. So I was really pleased with the unselfish play by the receiving corps.
Well, let's talk about the defense. I thought our front seven played with some physicality. They held them to 3 yards per rush, which I thought was really a key in the game.
Well, there's no question about it. I mean, you're going to play a team that is predominantly run. I mean, they're an option team, very similar to the Citadel. If you're familiar with Paul Johnson's offense at Georgia Tech and Georgia Southern, who won a bunch of national championships at the FCS level with him, Brian Bohannon and his staff come from that tree. So we knew what to expect. They're very good at what they do, but I said it in the first show, and I keep referring back to that. Coach Boone and his staff, they bring a different demeanor and attitude, and it's really carried over. At the end of the day, we limited the big plays. I mean, I know they had one big one there at the end of the game, which we stopped the drive with interception. But all in all, I mean, they gave up, on defense, we gave up 10 points. I mean, one of the touchdowns was after an offensive fumble inside the 15. So couldn't be happier with their performance. Definitely it was an outstanding performance. And to be honest with you, which led to the win. I mean, the defense kept our team in the game when the offense struggled early on.
A couple of players worth mentioning on defense. Noah Martin led the way with 8 tackles, and Kobe Stewart's a guy that I want to talk about. 6 tackles and a big sack in the game. Coach, Kobe Stewart's a name that not a lot of Bulldog fans are familiar with, but a product of Thompson High School. Big kid, really made an impact the other night in the game, I thought.
Well, he did. He's come on. I mean, he is a guy that he's got a big frame, just didn't weigh a whole lot coming out of Thompson. But when we watched Thompson win their state championships, Kobe always stood out as one of, to me, one of the better players on their team. He's really grown, and in this defensive system, we kind of found a spot for him to play. In the spring, I don't think we had him in the right spot. We moved him down to put his hand in the ground, and sure enough, he came up with a big play, and it had a really good game.
Sure did. Speaking of big plays, you won't get hardly any bigger play than Cortland Marsh's interception there toward the end of the game. Just kind of sealed the deal for us. Talk about that play and that junior cornerback's impact on the team.
He's been playing really well. Cortland was a high school quarterback at Mortimer, Georgia, and we're throwing a lot of local guys around here. Old Devlin Hodges School, in case anybody doesn't know, but now it's Cortland Marsh's school. So we give Cortland a hard time. I'm always trying to move him back to offense. I sure am glad that he's playing defense. He's playing really well. Made a tremendous play, and again, that was a kind of the sealed the victory with us being able to run the clock out there at the end.
Absolutely. Well, let's look ahead. This Saturday will be the Battle of the Bulldogs as Samford travels to Athens to take on the defending national FBS champions Georgia for a 3 p.m. kickoff between the hedges, a game that will be televised on the SEC network. Coach, you've said that this team is nothing like the Florida team that we played so well against last year, but it's an opportunity for our players to play in a big-time SEC stadium in front of a lot of people on a televised game like that. What's been your message to the team so far this week?
First of all, we're excited about the opportunity. Played the defending national champions, their first home game since winning the championship. So, our guys don't get in that environment very often, and from that standpoint, it's going to be a lot of fun for our players and our fans, and we'll get a lot of media attention. And talking about the Florida game, because that's all I've heard from the Georgia people. The Georgia Bulldogs, there's a few teams in the country that are just a little bit better than everybody else, and they're one of them. They do a tremendous job defensively, offensively. I mean, golly, they're really talented at every spot. But the big message for us is to be good at being us, and it's the same message no matter who we play. We got to focus on ourselves. We got to focus in doing our job, great fundamentals, and having great effort every day at practice, because that's how you win on Saturday. So our message hadn't changed. Again, we know we go in as heavy underdogs, but hey, anything can happen. That's why you play the game.
Well, again, the Samford, Georgia game will be televised on the SEC Network, 3 p.m. kick. Coach, good luck to the Bulldogs this week. Samford Bulldogs.
There you go, Kevin. Thank you very much, and we appreciate the great support in our home opener against Kennesaw last week. Thank you.
Well, that'll do it for this week's edition of the Chris Hatcher Show, presented by Alabama 811.